Hello, this is Peter from Franke de la Fuente, and welcome to the Country Files. Now, this has now become a tradition. We are covering the main nationalities that buy property on Costa del Sol. And we have now studied many countries, and you have all the information on our website. So what we do is that we study the buying process in certain countries, European countries, America as well. We draft a memo or a brochure. We have those uploaded on our website, and then we also have very interesting conversations with professionals on the market, you know, to dig even deeper into the buying behavior of those nationalities here in Spain, based on the differences and the specifics. And on that topic, we are today focusing on Romania, and I'm very happy to have with me today Sorin Mailat.
Thank you so much, Peter, for inviting.
You're going to tell us a little bit about yourself, but I can mention that you actually were the broker that assisted me and my family when we bought a property here now many years ago.
It was a pleasure.
And I know that you have been here for actually many years, but please tell us about yourself.
Sure. Thank you, Peter, first of all, for the invitation. A little bit about myself. I've been a broker for 17 years. I have started in the worst possible time, 2008. There was a big crisis over here. Although I'm not a typical Romanian agent, I'm a bit more international. I have dealt with Romanians, so a pleasure to be here. I've been working for only 2 top companies, and currently I'm at Strand Properties.
Yeah, correct. Okay, so 17 years of experience here from Costa del Sol, right, the Marbella area, I would say. In real estate, and of course with your Romanian background, I think it's a very good combination to have you on board for this conversation.
Thank you.
So okay, so let's start off then. We should start with the basics. We always try to do that. And I think this little fact could actually surprise some of the viewers here today, that the recent numbers say that Romanians represent more than 5% of foreign property buyers in Spain, and this is from the third quarter this year. And that places them in top 10 nationalities purchasing property in the country.
Yes, I have seen the stats myself, and of course, Romania has a lot to recover versus Western Europe. However, we have a robust growth for the past 10 years. And that has fueled and sparked the interest of buyers searching for top elite destinations. Marbella emerging one of the elite city resorts in the world.
Yeah, and it's interesting I was aware of the fact, but I think that not that they are actually, it's a big part of the foreign buyers market here in Spain, but in Marbella as well. And could you say something? You mentioned the economic growth of Romania. I think that has it's important.
The GDP showed growth above the EU standard, even especially for the urban centers, important cities like Bucharest, Cluj, Timișoara, Brașov. It looks like Romania is on the right track. Hopefully with investments in infrastructure, green energy, digitalization, and maybe automation, alongside addressing some of the issues that Romania has in terms of road infrastructure and the fact that the rural cities are falling a little bit behind the urban centers. Should they address that? It looks like we're on the right path.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, well, I don't only think, I know actually that Romania is one of the highest in the European Union in terms of economic growth since 2010. So for the last 15 years, Romania has definitely been on the right track, and I think that the fact that we now actually see them as buyers, frequent buyers of properties here in Marbella is just
not
another
a surprise
proof.
any longer.
It's not that surprising.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is that you have mentioned a high number in terms of volumes of sales being made across Spain. However, we're not only talking about that. We've seen a potential increase of affluent buyers here locally in Marbella, which is interesting because in this area, the price per square meter is among the highest that Spain has to offer.
Yeah.
But you know, Romanians facing before such travel restrictions and connection to the Western Europe and beyond are now definitely seeking the best lifestyle one can get, while they have a return of investment.
And that is something that we should mention actually, that you were talking about the price per square meter. And I mentioned that Romania are on the top 10 list of buyers in Spain. But we should also point out that when it comes to price per square meters, they are not among the top. They are usually, the budget for buying a property is slightly on the lower side compared to other countries.
Yes, well, that depends largely on the areas that they select. I mean, probably on the low side, we're talking properties around 200,000, and up to a level that we've seen probably high net worth individuals that reside actually here in Marbella.
And another example actually that there is a clear influx of Romanian real estate investors. It's actually yourself being here as a professional, and as a matter of fact, we have actually 3 team members in our law firm from Romania.
Oh, wow.
So the eye test meets the numbers.
I only knew one, which is very talented, but I actually graduated law, so that makes us a winning hand.
I see. Okay, excellent. Well, let's move on then. Of course, so why are they buying properties in Spain or here in this region? We have obvious reasons, and of course, which doesn't really differ from other nationalities. Meaning, we have the lifestyle, of course, the climate, the beautiful landscape, etc.
Right.
But would you point out any other particular reasons for Romanians to be attracted to Costa del Sol?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I would say first of all that there is a shared language and cultural heritage too. So for us Romanians, it's easy to adapt in Spain. We would learn the language very easily. It's a safety environment, which is important for families. And I would say, usually there are warming people, warm climate, like you said, and multi-city resorts that feature sandy beaches and a great lifestyle. Not to mention the high potential of rental investment, which is definitely on Romanians' top of mind.
That is interesting because when we've done our research and we had a discussion here before we started the camera, we were talking a lot about the Romanian investors. So, and you mentioned the return of investment as one main factor actually when dealing with Romanian clients. And I can recognize that from our own clients as well, that a lot of our Romanian clients are looking naturally to buy something for the lifestyle, but they're always also interested in the investment part of the purchase.
Yeah, so in that regard, I think it's good for other agents to know when they deal with Romanian clients. Usually, they would target rather apartments and newly built apartments versus villas. And due to the fact that Romanians are thrifty, they would like to secure a good deal and would purchase that kind of property that they would be using maybe once or twice a year, and the rest of the time they will capitalize on their on the return of investment, renting the property out. So they would favor always proximity to the beach, proximity to amenities, because in that sense the property will be appealing for renting it out and having that kind of high return of investment.
Okay. Are they tough negotiators?
I would say you'll be surprised. Romanians would approach the market with cautiously, with a certain thoroughness when it comes to knowing the actual market. So before they're meeting their agents, they probably have studied on their own the market, so they would know it. Earning their trust is not an easy thing. However, I believe that those professional agents that have deep market knowledge or could secure them a good deal and having access to thrilling properties would probably thrive.
Okay. Let's talk about financing, because it is something that I know from our own Romanian clients is that they many times needs assistance, or at least we have conversations with them about financing and Spanish mortgages. Is that your experience as well?
Yes. Well, I was checking with a few friends and understand a bit the statistics in that regard, and it looks like Romanians would favor, in terms of 80%, obtaining a mortgage. And the interesting fact, did you know, Peter, there were actually only 2 banks in Spain would grant mortgages to Romanians whose income is not in euros or their dividends is not in euros.
Correct.
So the choices are quite limited in that regard.
It makes it a little bit more difficult for the Romanian buyers, but they are still here and they're ambitious in their pursuit of finding that right property then.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, you already mentioned it a little bit that I'm not talking about all Romanian buyers here, but from a general point of view, that they approach their investment with thoroughness, a little bit caution. They want to study the financing part of it, and they want to make sure that it's a good deal for them. Is that would you say that's a correct way of describing?
Take a step back in time a bit, right? Romania has faced economic instability. So it's only normal that they will approach the market with caution. Hence, it will be a bit more difficult to earn their trust. However, I think that if there's something that I would recommend Romanians, because what they usually would do is that they would do that part of search through friends or relatives, understanding a part of the market. If there's something that I would really want them to recommend, is to seek that advice and to trust professional advice, such as property consultants that have experience, and the legal side of business, lawyers, local lawyers above all, for the right outcome and protecting secure a good deal and protecting their investment.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to something that we discussed also here before we turn on the cameras, and that we were talking a little bit about urbanistic issues. So we're in Marbella. We know that sometimes we face situations where the property needs to be examined in depth because it might have some urbanistic issues. There might be unpaid taxes. There's something that the lawyers find that needs to be solved. In that way, when it comes to urbanistic study of the property, what is the attitude of the Romanian buyer here?
Well, let's make a comparable, right? Spain versus Romania. So Romanians are accustomed with such urbanistic issues due to the fact that in the communism era, their properties or land were expropriated. Hence, it's not new to them. Later on, when the regime changed and those properties or land was restored, the paperwork was inconsistent. Hence, they kind of understand these things. Should these urbanistic issues that we have locally due to the infrastructure and I think explain them properly, they'll have there will be understanding the
better
issues.
Understanding.
Yes, they'll be more tolerant when it comes to understanding such issues, and I'm sure it's not a deal breaker like we know for other nationals.
I think it's very useful to know for agents that maybe haven't ever assisted a Romanian buyer or that there are always differences. So let's compare it to maybe to Swedish buyers or German buyers or French buyers, etc., even American ones. when they suddenly hear about an urbanistic issue, it's something completely new that never appears, in a process in their country.
Yes.
But in this case, it is actually then a little bit different.
Yes, there are similarities, hence they would understand. So also a parallel, as agents are not required to obtain a license to perform in Romania, so it happens in Spain. So they'll have some understanding, Romanian buyers would understand that. However, I'm sure this is just a matter of time until such matters are going to be solved in both countries. We know initiatives in Romania, and we know exactly locally here that next year will probably solve that issue.
Yeah, we're heading that way, definitely. And we know that, maybe you, of course, you can expand on this, but I know that in Romania they have two associations in charge of certified valuators and other professionals, but it has similarities to Spain, because the real estate agent in Romania does not need to work under a license.
It's true. I mean, in Romania we have Anevar, which is regulates property valuations, and there is APAI, which it's an association that kind of regulates professionalism and ethics in terms of real estate agencies. There are similar initiatives in Spain or locally here in Andalusia. So we hope that, we will be improving on that side, so we could earn the trust of our buyers.
Yeah, well, at least then when local agents then can benefit from knowing that in that way the two systems of the two countries are similar in that way, at the moment at least.
Yeah.
Another fact that I'd like to talk to you about is the VAT, because it is interesting. First of all, I don't know if you already mentioned this, but are Romanian buyers more interested in new builds or resales?
Okay, so I think that proportion in Romania would be that they go 60% for newly built and 40% on old build, which offers a lot more space in terms for families is important, of course. However, when it comes to Spain, Romanians would definitely favor newly built, and I think the proportion is a lot higher in terms of 70 to 30%. Mainly also that old build would be some sort of new to them, but I think that that mentality will change in time, because with old build and resales, how we call them here, you have that potential of flipping properties as well. Remember, Romanians were thrifty when it or money cautious at least. So I think once they discover that possibilities, the future buyer would probably rethink the strategy, so to call.
Okay, so it's they're mainly interested in the new developments when they're buying in Spain. I think we're safe to say that.
Yes.
And then one interesting fact here is actually that we both know that in Spain that there are certain bank guarantees that secures the 100% payments done by buyers.
Yes.
In Romania.
So as far as I know, I think that there were cases where Romanians were depleted of their savings or their payments made once the developer went bankrupt. Well, that will not be the case in Spain, because here we know very well that developers are insured in the first place. It's called Póliza de Afianzamiento, and then they would offer those aval bancario, which are bank guarantees, so they secure 100% the payments made.
So a Romanian buyer would then be, if they are properly informed, they would understand that the Spanish system, in that sense, with the bank guarantees and insurances, are a step more secure than in Romania.
Absolutely, there's safety when it comes to the purchasing process, but there are differences. For instance, if we go into the VAT structure that you have mentioned, Romanians face a VAT structure when it comes to newly built. So, for instance, if they purchase under 120,000 euros, they will be paying 9%. However, if their purchase exceed 120,000, they would face a 19% VAT structure, which is
on the aggressive side.
Very aggressive, I would say. So on that regard, things are different. As in Spain, we know of the developers offer properties, there's a net price and then the 10% VAT that is being paid on top, independently to the value of the property.
Yeah.
There's also a point, which is a particularity. Did you know, Peter, that, for instance, developers in Romania, they would advertise the price, so they would include that VAT in the actual price. So making you understand that that would be the full price. However, we know that exceeding 120,000, Romanians would pay 19% VAT on their purchase. So versus Spain, for the same property over 120,000, here they would be pay a standard fee of 10%, which makes them save a 9% on VAT.
So from a cost point of view, a tax point of view, it makes sense that Romanians are leaning towards the investment in a new development rather than a resale, if they would only compare the VAT and the system of bank guarantees and insurances in Spain contra Romania.
Absolutely, not to mention that you see Romanians buying in Spain, they're probably not at their first purchase. They own a couple of properties, at least in Romania, if not abroad. So they would target specifically those newly builds that give them capital growth. Return of investment is very important for them. And they will adopt this tourist mentality in the sense of, I'll be using the property just a couple of times a year, while I will capitalize on the rest of the year when I'm not there, and that's a large part.
Yeah, that's interesting. Okay, looking forward then, Sorin, where are we with the Romanian investors, buyers in 5-10 years from now? What do you think?
So this is a good question. I mean, the future outlook of Romania seems solid with the growth of the GDP and especially on digitalization, automation, we're very much ahead of other countries in that regard. However, we still have to recover a lot when it comes to the infrastructure of roads and economic infrastructure. But it looks like we're on the right track. So hopefully, and I know for a fact that there are strong developers that are looking into coming to the market, especially the local market here around Marbella and surroundings, and that will bring the bar even at a higher spec, as they are usually they have a German precision when it comes to construction. They are due to the unfavorable type of weather, they will be using the proper insulation and a high spec of execution in terms of construction. And what's more interesting is probably an efficient post-sales department, and that is,
Romania on the right track. Let's see if the track goes to Marbella then in the future. It sounds like it.
Well, hopefully. I mean, Marbella is a safe environment, above all. Has emerged of one of the leading city resorts in worldwide, offering incredible dining experiences, renowned golf courses, extensive sports facilities, selection of incredible beaches and branded beach clubs, vibrant nightlife. So we kind of have it all. Not to forget about families and the international schools and how child-friendly all the area is. So those factors will attract the highest spec of prospective buyers, especially Romanians.
I have no doubt. Well, thank you so much, Sorin. It was a pleasure having you on. I think we learned a lot actually about the Romanian buyers.
Yes, so I think for agents would be very important to remember that Romanians are not impulsive buyers versus other nationals, that they are thrifty, they would always look to secure a good deal. And well, my name is Sorin Mailat, and reach out so I can help you out.
All right then. Very good. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Peter. Great pleasure.